I'm Juan Francisco, and I'm a psychic medium. I'm here with you to explore your intuition, the supernatural, and self-empowerment. This is Third Eyesight. Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Third Eyesight. And I have been... my voice did a little weird thing there. Let's start that again. I have been trying to think of topics for this podcast. And I landed in a Google search about something called the Barnum Effect. Also called the Forer, Forer/Barnum Effect. And I want to talk about it today because I found it very interesting because I didn't know there was a name to this experience in psychic readings. But before I go on to this topic, I want to share two things. One is, three things really. If you haven't checked out my YouTube channel, I am posting all the video versions of my podcast there. If you want to see this face right here that you podcast listeners cannot see, but YouTubers can see, go to my YouTube. Just look up Third Eyesight on YouTube and you'll find me. Second thing, I am looking for more topics about psychic abilities and the supernatural for the podcast. So if there are topics you haven't heard or topics you want me to come back to, maybe you're new to this podcast and there's something on your mind about psychic abilities and or the supernatural, text the podcast show at the link in the show notes and email me. Go to my website and contact me or DM me. But at the risk of giving you too many options, text the show at the link in the show notes or contact me by email on my website. Then the third thing, this economy is not easy, and I'm also excited to do more readings for you all. And 2026 is in less than 90 days, which is kind of crazy to think about. So I've added some more affordable options to my website under the readings page. I have now more affordable option for mediumship readings. It's a little bit shorter. It's a half-hour reading instead of a 1-hour reading. And then for psychic intuitive card readings, instead of 45 minutes, I have a 25-minute option that is more affordable than the full 45-minute. And of course, you can always get the mini psychic card readings. So now that I'm done with the promos, let's get on to the topic. So the Forer/Barnum Effect. I came across this. I'll admit, I've been using some AI search engines to come up with different topics for the podcast, and it really, really helps. I just tell it, here's my podcast, what have I not covered? And what it came back with was the Forer-Barnum Effect as one of the options listed. And I looked into what it meant. According to the Encyclopædia Britannica, I'm totally paraphrasing, it's the instance where something is presented to another person, and it's very general information, but the person accepts it as personal to them. So it can be taken personally for the person. The person can take it personally. Say that 3 times fast. But it really is vague information that can apply to anybody. As many of you probably know, this can happen a lot in psychic readings, as well as mediumship readings. It's the instance where I tell somebody, if I were to tell somebody, is your grandmother passed? Yes, my grandmother's passed. Well, your grandmother says that she has gray hair, right? Yes, she had gray hair. Well, she loves you very much. That's all she wants to say. Or maybe it's something that I notice when I channel is I will ask if someone's grandfather was in the military. Now, the odds that someone's grandfather in our generation currently, that someone's grandfather was in the military, the chances are very high because there used to be a draft. So the chances are high. Those are the kinds of messages that can be taken by many different people, are not always so specific. If I tell someone their grandfather was in the military, I want spirit to bring up something else about grandpa to make it really, really land that it is this person's grandfather, who we are talking to. So this Forer-Barnum effect it's nice to put a name to it. And I read that the Barnum Effect, that name came from, I think it's P.T. Barnum of the circus family, of the circus folks, who said something. I read in the encyclopedia something like a sucker is born every second or something like that. This idea that there are always going to be people who fall for something, are very gullible. And so coming back to psychic readings, it's not about calling people gullible, but I think it's more about this is really more about calling out the psychics here. As a psychic, it is our responsibility to make sure that what we are communicating to you really lands and that it is meant for you. And if you pay me $100 and I tell you your grandma's here and she loves you and her gray hair is back to her normal color, that's really not, I mean, unless that is something you specifically, you ask grandma, do you love me? And is your hair color back to normal? Unless you came into the reading with those questions and then got them very specifically answered that way, that's not really solid evidence that grandma is there. I know we're not supposed to judge readings. I don't know if that's a rule, but I have a feeling there's this unspoken rule in psychic world that you're not supposed to judge other people's readings, but or maybe not be too judgmental. I don't know. But that's not a good reading. That's not a good reading to be so vague and broad. And it's one of the reasons that psychics get debunked, or people try to debunk them, because sometimes we are too vague and too general. And it makes a reading kind of lame, especially if you've paid somebody to give you a reading. I've had readings where people are giving me very vague responses, very vague statements. And I think, well, anyone could get that. Anyone can. I mean, there's so many Davids in the world. Of course, if you say the name David, I most likely know a David or a Bill or Steve. Or maybe another good example is, oh, your mother's coming through and I see her cooking a lot. And I feel like in her era, she took on the role of cooking. Like, it was a time when women were expected to cook. Oh, that's your mom? Okay, well, she loves you. It's not to say, folks, that those two things should be dismissed. Those are important bits of information. But we can say that about many people's moms. These days, we can say that about many people's moms. Maybe in 100 years from now, when hopefully the gender stereotypes are not so strict and firm and there's no more trad wife talk, maybe it will be very specific. But in the era we're living in, when a lot of us grew up with mothers who were expected to cook and be in the house because of cultural norms and misogyny, that's very broad information. That's a very broad kind of evidence, quote unquote. So when you go see a psychic or a medium, whether you're seeing a psychic to talk about life circumstances or decisions that you need to make, or you're seeing a medium to talk to loved ones who have departed from this world, don't be afraid to ask a psychic or a medium for more. And the way you can do that in a way that's respectful, and also make sure that the psychic says that you can ask them questions in the middle of the reading, that it will be a conversation. If they prefer you to leave questions to the very end and wait till the end, if they don't let you ask any questions at all, that to me is a little bit of a yellow flag. But just if they say something that sounds very general, say, well, could you say more about that? Don't be afraid to say that. I wouldn't say something like, well, that's really general. I don't think that's really strong. Don't respond to the psychic as they're doing the reading with criticism, because that could, depending on the psychic and how resilient or not resilient they are in their abilities and in their confidence in their abilities, that could shake them up and distract them from staying in the flow of the reading. So just ask them, could you say more about that thing you just said? And see what they say next. That pushes us to keep going, to go deeper, to get evidence that really will land and really make you feel like it is your person whom we are talking to. And I feel like, especially, on social media, especially TikTok, and I like TikTok. The amount of videos I share with my brother on TikTok and vice versa, it's. I think we get a streak every so often. TikTok says you have a 3-day, 4-day, 5-day streak. Keep sending videos to each other. I love TikTok, and TikTok, its algorithm right now seems to be working really well, and I'm getting quite a lot of attention on TikTok, which is really nice. I gotta say, my little Gemini self is like, the attention, how nice. I like it. I'll admit, I'm not perfect, y'all. I'm not perfect. But after working so hard on Instagram, because I really, really love Instagram to try and, get a following so I can get more business. I'm just talking real business talk, y'all. I'm just being real with you. It's frustrating how much the algorithm on Instagram has changed, and it feels like TikTok is still pretty good. Before I keep going off tangent, let me get back to topic. On TikTok, there are so many psychics. Like, you'll be scrolling on your TikTok feed. And what's unique about TikTok that doesn't happen on Instagram is you're scrolling through your explore feed or your feed, and among all the TikTok videos people and photos people have uploaded, you also are scrolling past people's lives. You can't do that on Instagram. So as I'm scrolling through my feed, I come across these lives where it's just somebody's two hands, and they just keep drawing cards. Hello, love. Yes, what's you? Yes. Send me a blueberry icon. I don't know, these little award things or gift things. A blueberry, a star. I don't know what they are. Send me a blueberry, and yeah, I'll give you a reading. Oh, hello, Magic Cake 701. Yes, you have the umbrella card. That means you are going to be protected by your angels. Okay, next person. Send me a blueberry. And it's like, whoa. This is very impersonal kind of reading. Is it even reading? I would argue it is not. There was another psychic, not drawing cards, but what was it? It was one of those bingo. This is kind of funny. One of those bingo machines. At bingo, those cages that have a lever, and they turn the lever to mix up the bingo numbers in the machine, and they're all painted on balls, right? They all on these painted balls, and then one of the balls come out of the cage, and then it's the bingo number A34, right? It's like that, but someone has that kind of cage with a lever, and on the balls or on whatever the little objects are like a message or a word. And so they're just doing that. Magic Cake said, I don't know where Magic Cake, I must be hungry. I don't know where the username Magic Cake has come from in my head. Magic Cake 702, you have abundance. Next person. It's like so impersonal, and so it seems like it's just for likes and follows and views. And a lot of people watch them. But then I wonder. I was talking to someone the other day about this, and I'm gonna name this person. I'm gonna do it. Cause Hannah McIntyre named this person in an episode, and I think I should too. Chris Riley. I don't know him personally. I can't speak about who he is as a person. I'm only talking about the ads that he promotes on social media. And I'll just mention I got blocked by him. I got blocked by psychic Chris Riley. And here's why. I'll first share why I got blocked by him, and then I'll go on to what it is about his what I assume about the reason people see him for readings. Okay? So when I go to when I have seen him promote his videos, like pay for ads, so the videos get pushed to people like me. The videos are always starting. They were always starting with, when I last saw them, if you're seeing this reading is meant for you, and then it's about like, I don't remember. I don't quote me on this. I'm just remembering how I felt. this very. I'll admit this may be very inaccurate, but I remember feeling a reaction to what he was saying in these promoted videos. And based on what I remember feeling, it must have been something that he said, like, you can't trust this person, or you really have what it takes, or they're betraying you, and don't fall into the betrayal. And it seems like, I think there are certain psychics out there that attract people who want the quick answers. Are they cheating on me? Is my ex going to come back? Will I make a lot of money? The questions that people have a lot of anxiety about, and not that there isn't anxiety. I've been through breakups. I've been almost broke. I understand. There are anxiety-ridden situations. But the easy thing is to go ask a psychic, when will this happen for me? When will I get this person? When can I have this person? That's the easier thing to do. The harder thing to do is the inner work. So like I tell my clients, those of you who've gotten readings from me and you've asked me questions like, do they love me? Will I get money? You're not going to be surprised by me hearing this. I will tell you, okay, you want to get your ex back? Let's focus this reading instead on you and how you're going to navigate your feelings about your ex. And if it's about moving on, how to move on. Or if you know your ex still loves you and does want you, how to foster that love, to grow that love with them, if it's meant to be. It's bringing it back to you who has booked the reading with me, and how to empower you. If you want to make that money, how do we align your energy with abundance? Instead of, how do I get that money? How does that money come to me? How do I get to that money? Does that make sense? And so, with generalizations and that Barnum effect, right? A lot of those kinds of questions, like, will I get my ex back? When will I make a lot of money? I think they are fodder for then very general kind of readings. Because how many people in this world want to make a lot of money? How many people are struggling with heartbreak? There are many relationship coaches for a reason, and dating coaches for a reason. It's a universal experience. But what really makes a reading specific for somebody is we're hitting on your personal struggle with a breakup and your inner work that you have to do to move forward. And that could look different person to person. There may be some commonalities amongst many people, but that is, as a psychic, in my opinion, that is the work. That is the not easy work as a psychic. And for you who has booked a reading, that is the not easy work as a soul who's trying to grow in this human body, as a human who's trying to learn more about themselves. If you want to answer questions with a psychic that more focus on how things come to you, you might just get a very general reading. You might have experienced that Barnum effect we're talking about. But if you ask a psychic a question that centers how you are going to function in the next few months, how you are going to respond to this heartbreak, to this situation, and how to help yourself grow, how to help yourself be happier, that I believe is giving a good psychic, the blueprint for a very helpful reading, because you're going to get hopefully some information if the psychic has good intention, if the psychic really cares about your well-being and is coming from a place of service. You're going to get information that's going to hopefully help you and give you a path forward. And you're not going to get this general information of just, oh, you need to love yourself. Or do this spell. You can tell anyone to do a spell. For $555, I can do a spell for you, which is worse, even worse, I think, than giving someone a very general reading. Because now you're just exploiting them and their money. So when you go see a psychic, I always say, go in with the intention of wanting to grow from your reading, to learn more about yourself, to learn how to navigate a situation for your betterment, not just so you can get what you want out of life. Yes, that's important, to get what you want out of life. But then ask yourself, why do I want that? Is just focus on, yes, what you want out of life, but that what you want out of life is going to give you true fulfillment and happiness, and how to get there, because that's the most important thing. And don't be afraid to ask a psychic questions, to ask them to go deeper with an idea they just shared or something they just said, or to say more about it, so that you have you honestly, so you get what you pay for. Because psychic readings, for the most part, psychic readings are not cheap. They're not cheap. It's an investment. And you should be damned. Not you should be. I'll just speak for myself. I'll be damned if I pay for a psychic reading and they just tell me, your grandma's here, she loves you, and her hair is back to her normal color because she's youthful again. Have a good day. I'd be damned if I pay $100, $200, $300 for that. Okay? Psychic mediums, I'm not a perfect psychic medium. Listen, I'm not perfect by any means. I make mistakes. In my last in the virtual group reading that I published in September, you'll hear that I get some things don't land. I don't know if I got them wrong, because maybe later the person found out something about that family member that ended up being right based on what I had told them. But you'll hear me get no's, or like, that doesn't land right now, or I can't remember right now. You hear me get those responses. So I'm not by any means a perfect psychic medium, okay? Before y'all come for me. But most of you are not haters. Most of you are loving people. But I try to be a very good psychic medium. I try to not just settle for the general. I will work in a reading to get more specific information from spirit. And it's not really about working either. It's just I'm asking spirit and I'm letting go. I'm surrendering instead of letting my ego be happy with, okay, this lands for the person. Perfect. I'm going to end it there. No, that's not good enough, Juan. And one could argue that's my ego too, saying that something's not good enough. But the way I see it is, you have paid to have a reading with me. I'm going to do my best to be as open to spirit, to bring in as much evidence as possible, so that it's not just something that you can hear from anybody. It's specific, so you know this is really your grandmother coming to speak with you. And that, yes, that she loves you. What are your thoughts on general readings? Have you had some? Do you want to share when you had a really general reading and how disappointing it was? I would love to hear about it and share about it on the podcast and give you my thoughts on what that psychic told you. Just go to my website, juanfranciscospirit.com, and send me an email, and I'll be sure to read your email on the next podcast episode or then the one after that. And please send me your podcast episode ideas. Keep them coming, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye. Follow the podcast, and please leave a review. If you want me to talk about a specific subject on the podcast, or you have a question for the podcast, go to juanfranciscospirit.com and go to my contact page and submit that question.